What's up, gamers? It is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How you guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video. Yes guys, welcome. Here today, we're in a bit of a different setting. I'm actually up on a mountain, on a hill somewhere in Tbilisi, Georgia. It's pretty cool. Actually guys, I'm like right next to an abandoned Soviet statue right here, which is apparently being used as climbing grounds right now. But anyways guys, in today's video, I just wanted to talk to my audience eye to eye. And the title of this video is going to be deliberately edgy just to get attention, and because I don't even know what gets views on this channel anymore other than, you know, shitting on Russia. So in this video, basically, I just want to kind of talk about my feelings on life and the world overall in general right now, and how this sort of last year terrible happened and how it influenced my view of the world and everything. And I really do feel like for the past year, I've been getting, you know, basically more and more depressed with the state of the world and just realizing how human beings really are and what they're like, if that makes any sense. I kind of feel like there's no hope for the world and people are like, you know, kind of terrible. And it's like a big personal crisis for me, you know? And that is exactly why I titled this video this way. But basically, I already know what some people are gonna say. So if you're already like, you know, typing down in the comments saying that, you know, this is gonna be yet another video of a Russian complaining how his life is, you know, so terrible and everything, it's going to be exactly that. You're right. If you want to be reductive or if you want to miss the point of the entire video, sure. The only way I'm gonna sort of, you know, try to explain myself is to say that I do realize that these hardships I'm facing right now is in no way like the responsibility of the West or whatever. Pretty much everything that I'm gonna describe in this video is the direct responsibility and the direct result of the actions of my governments, you know, of my country. And I realize that, okay? But anyway, before I make my point, I kind of want to describe, you know, what sort of ticks me off to make this video in the first place. Because that's how, you know, most realizations come to me in my life is, you know, certain things happen to me or to people I know. I see that, I process it, I think about it, and then sometimes it takes like the tiniest little thing to really, you know, set you off. What ticked me off to make this video is that right now I'm actually trying to look into immigrating to one of the European countries. And I'm doing this with the help of lawyers. So one issue I actually ran into is my lawyers couldn't accept my payments because their bank rejects payments from Russian nationals with Georgian bank accounts, because essentially their bank claims that they look at any such transaction as potentially suspicious and like potentially avoiding sanctions. And when I was told that, I was so mad. I mean, it's actually like, what sanctions am I avoiding in particular? I'm not a sanctioned individual. I'm not a fucking Gazprom oligarch or whatever, you know, like I'm just a guy who's trying to make a living and who's trying to like move in the world. And the thing is, right, this seems like pretty insignificant, and you know, the issue was figured out because they basically asked me to pay them through crypto, but it did leave a sour taste in my mouth, you know, if you could put it that way, because this is just one of those roadblocks that you encounter at literally every single step you're trying to take right now if you're trying to, you know, pretty much do anything that is related to, you know, having to deal with countries that sort of sanction Russia or whatever, if you're a Russian citizen. And this little issue is literally in every single like facet of your life, if that makes any sense, right? These automatic systems, essentially, they do no differentiating at all, and nobody really cares like what your stance is. Nobody cares because you're treated like the exact same way as the people, you know, who wave the Z flag or whatever. Basically, if you're Russian, you have like the mark of the beast. And you know, I hear stories like this all the time. For example, I have a friend from St. Petersburg. He actually moved to Israel because he's Jewish, and he got the passport of Israel. And his friend, who's also a Israeli citizen now, who was born in Russia, was trying to open a bank account somewhere in Europe, and he was denied, even with an Israeli citizenship, because he was born in Russia. And like, you know, I just fail to see how that is like an epic win. And basically what I'm trying to say here is that this brings me to my greater point, which is why I want to die. I don't know, at this point it just feels like the world is, you know, so filled with like racism, xenophobia, and it honestly feels like it's absolutely overflowing right now, and people are just oozing that out of like their pores. And here's the thing, I do realize that this is pretty much how the world has always been, and maybe I just didn't fully realize it because I was never, you know, at the other side of it, at the receiving ends, I guess. But it is something that I'm deeply passionate about because, you know, personally, like my entire, you know, I had a huge transformation in my politics on this YouTube channel. At one point I was sort of like an anti-SJW red pill guy, but I've had a transition because I started actually realizing the real issues that, you know, minorities and oppressed people are facing, and I started feeling a lot of empathy for those people. And I already thought that the world was kind of fucked, but now I think it's like completely like, I don't see any points, really, you know what I mean? And, you know, since Russians could be described as a group that is, you know, hated in a lot of countries right now, I don't want to obviously, you know, compare my struggle to you know, struggle of, like, racial minorities or, like, gay people or something, but there is a bit of a struggle there, and I feel like, you know, I empathize with those people even more now. But, you know, also mainly, I feel like just from what I see online all the time, you know, from what people say on, like, news articles, you know, about Russians or whatever, or just how different nations of people who always, like, have rivalry with each other, like, you know, Greece and Turkey or Armenia and Azerbaijan, whatever, how those people treat each other online, I'm just like, It's just really sad. And I think the biggest reason is that, people just lack empathy, and people can never, put themselves into other people's shoes. People can never imagine what it's like to be the other person, which is something that I personally try to do all the time. And this is precisely why, for example, when I talk about, whatever, Russians being, called subhuman or whatever, or orcs, or people who are like, not able to have a civilized country or like a civilized democracy or whatever, essentially people that are, have like a gene of slavery in their blood, that are like, inherently lesser than any other nation. There's a particular reason why I don't complain about, for example, like Ukrainians talking shit about Russians right now, because I have empathy for those people. I realize what they're going through right now. Their country is literally being destroyed, right? So I wouldn't expect them to say anything about Russians. I don't think like right now is the time or the place to, criticize those people. And I would say the same for a lot of the people from countries that were, attacked by Russia at one point. For example, Georgia, the soil that I'm standing on right now. However, to be quite honest, in the recent months, and this is going to be controversial because I know people are not going to be, willing to agree with this, but I feel like in the past, year, from, just seeing what people are saying online, from seeing the discussions of, what's going on with Russia currently, from seeing even comments under my videos, which a lot of them are very, derogatory towards Russians, actually, I've sort of honestly realized that, this sort of acceptance and like tolerance of the Western world is sort of a lie. And once again, don't take me wrong, I would take the European Union any day over like, Putin's necro USSR or whatever. However, it is true that a lot of people in the West, are still plagued by this sort of like, holier than thou mentality, where they essentially assume and have this sort of idea that they as Western people are like more superior to Eastern Europe and Russia in particular, because once again, like I said, Russia is like a nation of orcs and uncivilized, barbarians or whatever. And once again, here's the thing, I'm not trying to call out like the entirety of the people who live in the Western world or whatever. And very quite possibly, my view of the world is influenced by the internet. It's all, just because I'm terminally online and because like I spend my time reading, Reddit world news comments or something. Or Twitter or something, and I guess, Twitter and Reddit are not good representations maybe of what like the average person thinks, but to some degree I do think it is a good representation though. And yeah, just the stuff I see all the time on these resources, like I said, once again, I just feel like people all over the world are just, absolutely seething with like xenophobia and racism right now, and I just can't understand it, quite honestly, like, and it feels like every day, I'm sort of, losing my hope for the human race with every passing day a little bit more. And I feel like a lot of people just, have no understanding of Russia and like the realities of Russia's, authoritarian or dictatorial, oppressive regime. And I feel like people have like very low amounts of compassion for people who live in dictatorships and who face like, the hardships that living in a dictatorship entails. And this is really hard to understand for me because a lot of European countries in the past, they've had history of dictatorships as recent as, the 20th century. Germany, Portugal, and I feel like people need to realize that, Russia is not this sort of the only country that's going through this struggle, and that, the people of Russia don't need to be fucking put down in the ground, especially if they're trying to actually distance themselves from the regime and actually like build a new life outside of it. Because right now, if you have a Russian passport, sometimes it's not that easy. And once again, I'm not saying it should be super easy, but you would never realize what I'm talking about because you're not like in my position, you don't know what kind of roadblocks I have to face. Once again, this is the exact type of thing where you would not understand me unless you walk like a mile in my shoes. And I might not understand your experience, right? But I'm not trying to make assumptions about you because of like your race or your passport, your nationality or whatever. I'm trying to hear what like the person has to say, and I respect their experience. And pretty much my entire point to this video, right, is that it's not, oh boo-hoo, I'm Russian, I don't want any repercussions, please remove all the sanctions, please stop doing it, I can't handle it, I'm a little baby. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that I'm trying to influence more people to like be empathetic towards others and like really listen to other people and like be accepting. And I'm not just talking about Russians, I'm talking about being accepting to all people. The point is, listen to people when they tell you what they're going through, no matter if they're Russian or any other nationality. You going la 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 la, I don't hear you, la 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 la, is not gonna help anybody. And I know I'm gonna get shit on for this video, but what I honestly do not feel bad about recording this at all, because I do think I'm spreading like basic human truths, like empathy and understanding. These are basic human like values, and I don't really see what I'm saying in this video that like isn't like agreeable, honestly. Again, this is just my mindset, and it's my understanding of the world, and I believe that as human species, we should be fucking coming together and trying to understand each other. And the thing is, guys, a lot of people are just not ready to have this conversation, to be honest, because a lot of people are not ready to look inside themselves really and like see what they're putting out there in the world. Because, for example, let's take like, Western Europe once again. I get comments from Western Europeans all the time, basically, calling Russians subhuman, and basically, absolutely completely neglecting Russia's struggle for freedom, or, my personal individual struggle for freedom. welcome, you know. At that point, if you, comment on my video, that's what you're doing, right? And honestly, I do feel like a lot of people are just, not ready to admit that they're really not as progressive or woke as tolerant as they think they are. Because I run into this take all the time, where people say, I'm accepting, I'm tolerant, but with Russians, I know how to behave. I know that, they're not to be trusted or whatever. And I'm just like, what? Like, if you're saying something that sounds racist, or xenophobic, at the end of the day, you are saying something that's racist and xenophobic. I know you can play like mental gymnastics and try to justify it in various different ways. And like, here's the thing. The reason why I'm calling this out is because I used to be like this. Once again, when I was like an edgy anti-SJW edgelord in like 2016, when I was making, videos like, making fun of feminists or whatever, I thought to myself, I just don't like feminism, I don't hate women. Or, I was like, I'm just saying the N-word here and there, dropping it every video, I'm not racist, though. I'm not racist. I know that. Well, the truth is that if you put this sort of, energy out there in the world, which gives other people the vibe that you're being racist or xenophobic or whatever, you probably are being exactly that, And like, that's what I'm trying to say is that if you want to become like a better society, we gotta realize and look at our own shortcomings. And yeah, when like I changed my views and I became, more progressive or whatever, I guess you could say, I did realize that the things I was saying were hurtful, and yes, guys, this is basically my iDubbbz new video moment, so I'm apologizing for everything I've ever done. And again, I don't exactly feel like a lot of people are ready to sort of face the music and realize this. A lot of people, I guess they would rather pretend that, this discrimination against Russians or whatever just does not exist, and that it's all a result of Russian propaganda. Well, guys, here's the thing. I am here, a person who absolutely hates Russian propaganda, and I'm telling you, it does exist to some degree. And realizing that, and I guess making some steps towards, fixing it, is steps towards becoming a better society. And I'm not trying to lecture anybody once again, I'm just trying to make you consider. Because once again, I've seen this take from Westerners a billion times at this point, wherein they say that, Russians are accepted everywhere in the world. Good, kind-spirited Russians, they're accepted everywhere. It's just that the Z idiots, they're gonna be having trouble. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. My passport does not differentiate me between the Z people, so to the rest of the world, as far as I'm concerned, I could be like a fucking member of PMC Wagner or some shit. Because that's how I'm treated by default. And it's a little bit annoying when every fiber of your being stands against that, you know what I mean? It is a little bit annoying. And one thing that people don't realize is that, even people who haven't left Russia, I guess, deserve some form of respect, because it's just that, actually leaving and, freeing yourself of the shackles of this, autocratic regime, it's immensely hard. And once again, the roadblocks are there in place to make sure that nobody is able to do it. For example, I still fail to realize how, Visa and MasterCard, banning Russians from using their cards, abroad, outside of Russia. I still fail to see how that is an epic win. Because from what it appears, it, just made life worse for the regular person, while the people who are the actual oligarchs and the rich people of Russia who have been reaping the benefits of the Putin regime for the past 50 years or whatever, they don't care. They're not feeling this. While some regular ass people are feeling these repercussions, and I just still fail to see how that was an epic win, to be honest. I'm down to be educated in the comments, of course, but yeah, actually leaving and building yourself a new life is immensely difficult. There's really nowhere you can go where you're able to build a new life if you're not already a fucking crypto, IT, or YouTube genius. And even I am struggling to build a new life outside of Russia right now. Even though I make money on YouTube and stuff and I have a constant income stream or whatever, even I am having a really rough time, right? So imagine what it's like for the average person. But nobody cares about the average person, and then, that's just, the ultimate truth of capitalism, I guess, or, this absolute fucking absurd world that we live in. Because quite honestly, I'm in an existential crisis. I really don't feel like this world is worth fighting for anymore.
I was always disgusted with this notion of I love the world, universal love. I don't like the world. I don't know how I'm somewhere in between. I hate the world or I'm indifferent towards it.
It really isn't. We humanity, we're so rotten to the core and we're so tribalistic. We really want to just, destroy something that's, not us. We really, fear the other so badly. We are not willing to accept. We're not willing to listen to anybody. I don't know. People in the world just get, crammed into echo chambers and, these communities where they don't talk to people of opposing views in any way. And I don't know. I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing in this world, quite honestly. I'm just, up on this mountain right now, looking over Tbilisi. It's really cool and everything, but, I've been having an existential crisis for the past fucking year, because, everything that's happening right now, I don't know. I was not raised to live in this world. I was raised with different principles. And, my principles, I guess, are not popular in this world, because what's popular in this world is being just being, ignorant and making money. That's what matters in this world, really. And, I think this video is really funny, because a lot of people are going to be commenting saying that, I'm essentially losing my mind for, 30 minutes on camera, but yes, you gotta understand, I've been bottling up these thoughts inside of me for the past year. Like, the sun is great, and the flowers and everything, but like, people, I don't really know if I like people that much anymore, quite honestly. Like, I really don't.
But I'm not really that inspired by, at one point in my life I was more inspired by people. But as I've grown more, humans aren't really I don't really look to that for inspiration that much anymore. I look more inside, just to myself and what goes on in there. Internal struggle, internal shit like that.
And I don't even like myself. So yeah, like, it's not me against the world type thing. I'm like part of the fucking, herd that I dislike. Because I also, like, consume propaganda like anybody. Also, I'm probably not willing to listen to a certain demographic of people. Like, I'm Joker, guys, basically. I'm Joker. That's the point we're at, guys, right now. I'm going to move to this hill right here. I'm gonna, put a fucking tent up here, and I'm gonna live life like Ted Kaczynski. That's my fucking plan for the future. And yeah, also another thing that, like, makes me, very severely sad is that, just how unfair the world is, I guess. And I feel this unfairness in every single regard, For example, I have friends that I talk to who are in Ukraine, they're Ukrainian, and, I think, like, my life is hard and bad or whatever, but, like, I'm out here, I'm free, I can travel the world. I can travel to some parts of the world, right? And I have friends in Ukraine that are literally, stuck in like Kiev, and they're male, so they can't even leave. And they're like under constant threats and everything. And even though like we talk and we seem like no different really, I realize how different his position is to mine in life right now. And that is really unfair in my opinion, right? Or another thing that's unfair, how like artists and YouTubers who literally are staying in Russia and like promoting the Russian governments and like, the special Z operation or whatever. They're staying in Russia, they're doing completely fine, they're not under any threats of persecution by Russia itself. And actually European countries, they issue out visas and travel visas to Russians just fine right now. And a lot of these like Z propaganda people are traveling to like Europe right now, Italy, Spain, etc. All these countries are giving out visas pretty easily to Russians right now. Meanwhile, myself and also a ton of other people I know, they left Russia because they don't feel safe staying there, and now we're in this sort of limbo where we can't apply for like a visa anywhere because we don't have like residency of any other country, and therefore we're not able to travel anywhere. So it's also a little bit unfair, right? That people who promote like Putin and Z and all of that, they get to travel to Europe and enjoy like, the wonders of the, free Western world or whatever, and go to Starbucks. While we, the people you would think should be accepted instead, no, we're stuck and we can't go there, and it's not because like there's any inherent logic in it. There's not, because it's just because like the entire immigration system is complete fucking nonsense. Like, can anybody tell me, by the way, what was immigration like 100 years ago? Because I was trying to Google this and I can't find any info. Because how the fuck did all these Russians who like left 100 years ago after like, the Soviet Revolution on that like philosopher's fucking boat, how the fuck they get to like, Germany and France and Paris and all this shit? Did they have Schengen visas back then? I don't think they did, right? So we're even worse off than the fucking Russian like white emigres 100 years ago, White, I mean like, the people who supported the Tsar. That shit is crazy. And yeah, situations like these just show me that like the world really isn't fair as well. Like if you put out like good energy and like, good vibes in the world, it's really like not guaranteed that those will return to you. Because you could be like a shitty person promoting, Z, and you can be, enjoying all the rights that the people who actually like standing up for freedom and who are actually like risking their freedom. You can do everything that they can do, even though you're like objectively a worse person. Like, what's the fucking points, man? That's just what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, like what is this? What is this? I don't know, dude. I really don't know at this point. And once again, with like another personal anecdote again to sort of round it off, there's a certain category of people online who like to, sort of criticize me for not doing enough or not speaking enough about like the actual Russian-Ukrainian conflict, and for like not actually talking about the things that matter, and instead, making fun of like shaman and, propaganda or whatever. The thing is, guys, I'm just like in my safe little lane. I would like to talk about other things, but like who actually is going to offer me the security to be able to talk about these things, right? Because right now I have none. Like I honestly really feel, and this again also adds up to like this whole inside depression thing, I really don't feel like I have like any human rights at all, to be quite honest. I really don't feel like, anybody gives a fuck. Like, honestly, if I was to be arrested, I wouldn't feel like there would be any country that would try to defend me in any way. I don't feel like there's any single organization that would give a fuck. Like, I just feel like so alone and stranded in this fucking world and I'm fighting my like personal like little war, and like it's just so pointless because like people will still fucking hate you because you're like not doing enough. Yes, give me like the security to say anything, Give me like a fucking place to live and I'll do it. I understand, of course, that like nobody sort of owes me the security, and you know, if I want to like move to another country where I could be able to do that, I gotta do that myself. Obviously, nobody's gonna like do my visa shit for me, and I am doing it. That's the thing, I am trying to. But still, like, I don't want to just say all type of shit on this channel that could, you know, have repercussions, and meanwhile have like absolutely no security for myself. I'm not going to like throw my life away for internet good boy points. I'm trying to, you know, do the best that I fucking can right now. And yeah, I hope it works out. Like, I don't know. Once again, this world is absolutely absurd, and like nothing that is happening makes any sense. And like, I'm just tired of it. So yeah, guys, to put it short, the way I'd really describe it is that being Russian right now in the year of 2023, especially one in a position that's similar to mine, meaning that a person who can't really return or come back, at least that's how I feel for myself. You know, you really feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because in my own country, you know, they essentially want me fucking dead because, you know, I'm perceived as like, you know, a traitor or whatever, you know, spreading the woke agenda or whatever the fuck. Meanwhile, honestly, from what people are saying online, from how people are acting, from how people are just seething, overflowing with like this hatred, a lot of the times it honestly feels like they want me fucking dead, like on the other side as well. Because on this one side, they want me fucking dead because I'm a traitor. On this other side, they want me dead because I'm like a fucking orc, subhuman, like who's like a threat to any country. Like, me existing is a threat in general, and you know, I guess it's just something I have to live with. And to begin with, when I'm already like so confused about my fucking place in this world and about the world in itself, I also have to like, you know, be on the receiving end of all this bullshit. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a hell of a challenge for me. And this is like what character is made of. This is what being manly is. So I guess, you know, we're gonna fucking endure. Будем терпеть, короче. Русские мы терпим, блять. Мы терпим и будем терпеть дальше. В любом контексте. Anyways, guys, yeah, sun is about to go down over Tbilisi. It's really beautiful. Let me show you guys, actually. I hope the audio in this video is not completely fucked, by the way, but yeah, here's the statue thing. Here's a bit of a view. Very cool, very cool. I do like being out here. I should make more videos like this. Anyways, guys, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, this little rambly format with a bit of a view. I think it's pretty cool. If I don't get fucking cancelled and, you know, destroyed online for this video, I might do more, because, you know, maybe some people like to hear what I have to say, maybe some people don't. I don't fucking know. Anyways, guys, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do something nice today. Say something nice to another person of another nationality in the comments. Let's be fucking friends and climb a mountain just like me, enjoy some views, and cleanse your fucking soul. You know, try to make connections with other people instead of destroying them. That's what I want to do, and that's what I will do for the rest of my life. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. I'm gonna go and enjoy the view. Bye-bye.